summoned by the returning officer. I'm contesting an election. Some of you might know NA128. I've just received a message from the returning officer that the ticket that we had filed has been cancelled. They are not going to accept that as a ticket. And he's asked me to come appear before him immediately, so I'll have to go.
A physical demonstration of all that you said right now.
And the Election Commission apparently met 20 minutes ago, and they've said that all PTI tickets should be cancelled.
Wishing you luck. A round of applause for...
But the points being made over here really are interrelated, whether it is about judgments of 2 years ago being overturned now, whether it's missing persons, whether it is about the state not really having been thought out. I think what we are facing is really a duality in the use of power in this country from the very beginning. Power is what has kept the country together, one can argue. You know, if you go back to 1947, the origins of the country were really quite, and we'll debate this in the course that we're going to teach. Asad and I are going to teach a course at LUMS from Monday.
Wednesday, sir.
Wednesday, on the constitutional history of Pakistan, and we'll debate this there. So, one argument is that it was force that kept the country together. You know, if you look at the situation in Balochistan, if you look at the referendum that had been held in the then frontier province, so the boundaries of the country were really not as firmly and securely defined as one would want for a nation state. So you needed force to counter the centrifugal forces, as it were. And that role of force has remained throughout. The army has throughout considered itself to be the guarantor of the territorial and ultimately the spiritual and ideological integrity of the country. So at one level, they feel that what they're doing is essential if the country is to be kept together. And I can recall, General Asad Durrani during the Asghar Khan case that I conducted for the later Air Marshal. And this was regarding the 1990 election in which the ISI and the MI and all, they were found to have interfered with the electoral process in the formation of the IJI and distributing money and so on. So while this was going on in the Supreme Court, I got to get to know him pretty well. General Asad Durrani was the central figure. And he was unrepentant. He said, "Ain wain kya hota hai bhai? We have to protect the country. What is this that you keep telling me that the Constitution does not allow me to do this? I was there to protect the supreme national interest, and I will do so 100 times again if the same situation arose. Benazir Bhutto was a national security threat. We had decided, and I was going to stop her coming back to power in 1990 by any means, fair or foul. I don't know why it was foul. What I did was in fact sacred. She was a security threat. We prevented her from coming back. What can be more sacred than that?" So that thinking was there then. That thinking remains very much alive today. I mean, we have friends, at fairly high levels in the power structure, and they think exactly like Asad Durrani did back then. So nothing really has changed. So they feel that without force, the country will not stay intact. And the judiciary, everybody else should, play ball, should really help us in keeping the country together. Now, while that may or may not be correct, what this use of force certainly does is it erodes the institutional integrity of almost every institution and most of all the judiciary. So when the judiciary caves in and delivers judgments which are useful at a given point in time, I believe the self-conception of the judiciary as a forum of principle, as a forum based on an objective and honest application of the law, gets tainted, damaged, and that damage then ripples throughout the system. It's not that you can be intellectually dishonest in 5 cases a year and be intellectually very honest in the remaining 95%. It just taints the entire system. So what Faisal is saying is also correct, that at an ordinary level, it's a statutory framework that the ordinary litigant has to deal with. But that statutory framework also functions under the cover of a constitutional framework which becomes fatally tainted every few years. So those judges then, and the whole system's self-conception gets fatally tainted, the self-conception of a forum of principle rather than a forum that serves power. So that, I think, is the duality. While power might be keeping us together territorially, it is also eroding our institutions internally and preventing us from developing, whether it's the Election Commission, as we see today, whether it is NAB, all of these institutions at some level stand eroded. Thank you.
Thank you.